Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to today's episode on the Afro Hustle Show. I'm really excited that you're here today again. And if this is your first time jumping on my show, make sure to click the subscribe button and click the bell so you'll never miss any of my episodes. And don't forget to follow me on social media. You can follow me on Instagram. My handle is African Brother. Same thing on Facebook, African Brother. Twitter, the same African Brother. So I can't wait to hook up with you, connect with you, and read your story, your success story. Maybe you're from whichever part of the country or whichever part of the world, right? Okay, so welcome to today's show. Today's show is definitely something which is very interesting to me, and it's not just interesting to me, it's also very, very important to me. So today's episode, we're really going to be talking about the Electronic Diversity Visa Program, and I can't wait to share with you guys the content that I have for today's episode because this is something that's very important to me because this is how I was able to come into the United States, right? I was eligible, I was randomly selected, as they call it, and I made my way to the United States, and I've been here for over 6 years now. Okay, guys, so for today's, of course, our African proverb for today is dun, 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 dun. Do not call the forest that shelters you a jungle. Do not call the forest that shelters you a jungle. So today's African proverb is do not call the forest that shelters you a jungle. And it's the same proverb that goes along on the side with do not bite the hands that feed you, right? So if you think about this, do not call the forest that shelters you a jungle. Just think about the fact that many times we as people, right, as human beings, we have the tendency to forget where we came from. We have the tendency to forget our background. We easily maybe neglect where we came from, and because of maybe, for example, you lived, as we were all born and raised in Africa. Maybe you were born in a small hut, in a small village like I was in Cameroon, and in a country in Africa. And as soon as you went to college in the city, and maybe you went overseas to the white man's country, now you become a citizen, or I mean whatever your status have changed to, right? And when you return home, you start insulting the people who live in those small huts and in the village that you were raised. You start insulting them, or start down looking them, or just you start looking at them to be lower class than yourself. But the fact is that is where you were raised, and that is your origin. That is where you came from. So I think the lesson from today's proverb is that you should just think about where you came from, where you learned, with the people that helped you on your way, and also make yourself available as a resource for other people, to help other people be able to achieve their dreams and success in their lives. So awesome. Hope that actually got you something, right? Okay, so I'm gonna start sharing with you guys today. I'm gonna be sharing my screen. I'm gonna share with you today the process of actually how to complete your diversity program. So the program, it runs every year. Let me just put a quick disclaimer right there, right? So today's information, I'm going to be using my own information in today's example. I am not going to click the submit button because it is not my application. I am not eligible to apply for this, but I am going to use my information as a sample to help you be able to use your own information during this application process. So every information that I'm going to use in today's episode, in today's video, is my information and my photo that I'm going to use in this picture, in this video for today. So make sure do not copy my information, because if you copy my information and type it as yours, trust me, your application will be rejected, right? So make sure that you only use your own information to complete this application process. Awesome. Okay, so in order for you to be able to do this, I want you to go to your website, go to your browser. I want you to do this on a computer. Do not struggle, do not endeavor to complete this process over your cell phone. Make sure you do it on your computer, because it gives you an opportunity to see the screen and be able to answer all the questions without making any mistake. So go on your computer and type this. Go to dvprogram.state.gov. Click on the enter button and you're going to come to this page. So this, if you go to dvprogram.state.gov, it's going to bring you to this page. This is the official American government website, and this is the website that welcomes you and tells you that yes, the application process is open and they have started receiving entry forms for the diversity program. So remember, this program only runs a little bit over 1 month. It only runs from October 6th to November 9 of 2021. So if you have not yet submitted your application, it's better for you to submit your application early, as soon as possible. One of my advice to people is that you want to make sure that you submit your application. It increases your chances of being selected, and also increases your chances, if you've been selected, increases your chances of actually being able to obtain or secure an interview, a visa interview for yourself. So if you come on this website, you can click on instructions, the DV 2023 instructions. Somebody's going to ask me, why is it 2023 when I'm applying in 2021? So the reason why you're applying you're applying in 2021 for 2023 is because this result is going to take time to come. The result is going to come out in May of 2022, which means if the result comes out in May of 2022, they're gonna give you an information. They're gonna give you instructions to start submitting your applications maybe September of 2022 or January of 2023. So that is the reason why they are saying that they are calling this DV 2023. They are really speaking more about the year that they are going to start receiving applications. So it doesn't mean when they say DV 2023, it doesn't mean that you have to wait and submit your application in 2023. Okay, so now if you click on the instructions, it's going to take you to a page that's going to give you basic instructions on the process, on how you can submit it. So this is diversity visa instruction. So this is the basic instruction that's going to give you what you have to provide, the requirements. Maybe you need to provide, I'm downloading this form here, so I'm just going to open it quickly. I know what the instructions are, but I just want to share with you so you can also see what the instructions are for yourself. So the document, this is an official document from the United States government, instructions for 2023 diversity immigrant visa program. It's called DV 2023. So these are the eligibility requirements. So they have a list of countries that have low rates of immigration to the United States. So those are the people that are highly likely to come into the country, to the United States. Countries that have low rates of immigrants in the United States. I don't know which kind of country are those, because first of all, you feel like you are in the United States and everybody from every country in the world is here. Okay, so requirement number 2 is that you're going to follow up the process. You have your passport, you have your picture, which is eligible. You have the eligible picture, which is a recent picture. You must make sure that picture is a recent picture, right? You have your mailing address and all this other information. So now let's go. If you want to go through this, you can definitely go through this information on your own and read in detail what they are. But now I want us to go through this. I want us to go through the application process. You might also want to look at the selection of entries. You want to see what are the criteria that they use to select entries. They say based on allocations of available visas in each region and country, the Department of State randomly select individuals by computer from among qualified entries. Now, qualified entries, that's the key word I want you to think about, right? So not everybody that applies is a qualified candidate. It's just like for a job. Not everybody that applied to the job is actually a qualified candidate. So just like I said, so the entrance, once you've gotten your results will come in on May, I think from May 2022 to September 30th, 2023. So that's the timeline which you're going to provide. They are going to request you to start submitting your visa, your interview and stuff like that once you are randomly selected. Okay, so now let's go into the application process. So on this page, on this electronic diversity visa program page, you want to come down to begin entry, right? On the orange button that says begin entry, this is what we're interested in. Begin entry. So I want you to take note, this page is only available for, I think it's only available for like 20 to 30 minutes. If you keep this page open for 20 minutes without any activity, without doing anything, it's going to close, which means if you're putting any information on this page without submitting the information, guess what? Your information will be deleted and you have to do it all over again. So one disclosure again I want to make sure that you understand is that the DV program submission is free. So nobody should charge you that, nobody should ask you to pay for you to submit a DV program, right? But if you are going to a cyber cafe like most people do in Cameroon, in Africa, I will say in Cameroon, because I went to a cyber cafe to submit my application and I paid 1,000 francs to submit that application. So if you have to submit an application in a cyber cafe, they may charge you whatever amount that they charge you. But if you have to do this on your own, you can do this on your own on your computer for free. So the estimated time for this, look at it on the top right, there's an estimated time for you to complete this is 30 minutes, which means if you have to use more than 30 minutes for this process, this page is going to log you out. So make sure you have all your information ready, you have your passport information ready, you have your qualified photo. So don't open this page, then that's when you want to start looking for the photo, right? Make sure you have your photo ready, your passport information ready. If you have to submit for your family, maybe your spouse and children, you have everybody's information ready to go, so you don't have to start calling people, hey John, come here, bring your passport or bring your document or come and bring your things for me to submit during the time of the application, right? Okay, so good. So I'm going to put my information here. They say your last name, so it's very important. Read the guidelines, read the instructions very carefully. Last name or family name. Then now you put in your first name, middle name. So you have all these names. The second tab is the gender. Then you put in your date of birth. So I'm gonna put random date of birth here. This is not my actual date of birth, but this is the date I'm going to put. Country of birth. Country of birth is Cameroon. Passport information. So my passport information, I have to make sure I put my passport information here. This is not my actual passport information. For privacy purpose, I am not going to share my private passport information here. So you'll see my passport is actually issued by the United States government. Or if you are in your own country, you can put that your passport is issued by your country of origin or whatever country that you were born. Then when it comes to the 8th task 8, this is where you are making sure that you are putting your picture, your photo ID. Maybe this is make sure that your photo meets the requirement, which means it has to be a square photo, it has to be a 600 by 600 or a 1200 by 1200 square, and your photo must be on a white background. My photo is not qualified because it's not on a white background. It makes sense, it meets the images and meets the qualifications of the photo. For us to look at examples of a photo that should be acceptable, let me show you the kind of photos that are acceptable. So these are the acceptable photos, right? Photo 1, 2, 3, 4, they are very acceptable. If you look at these are now they are giving us examples of photos that will not be acceptable. So look at this is a photo of somebody who has the shadow. The photo has a shadow in the background. This photo is not acceptable. This photo is acceptable. It's bright, it has a white background, and they can clearly see the 2 ears of the applicant, right? Another photo, this one looks blurry. With this kind of photo, they rejecting your application. This other picture looks dark, so it's not very clear. The photo does not have enough lighting. so they are going to reject your application. If you have this photo, which is bright white background, ready to go, your face is forward looking, images, your ears are bright and clearly seen, then your photo is qualified. So let's get back into the application. So make sure that your photo meets those criteria, and it has a square image of maybe 600 by 600 or 600 by 600 pixels or 1200 by 1200 pixels. So now I'm putting my address. This is a mailing address. For most African countries, of course, we may not have defined mailing addresses, but what we can do is that you can put in a mailing address or a PO box of maybe an office location where you work, or if you do not have an office location, you can put the location of any closest person that you know, that you are confident that you can definitely obtain your information from them. Some people usually put the address of the cyber cafe where they are conducting, or where they are processing the application, so they can go on this in the cyber cafe and actually be able to do that. The cyber cafe can put their address here. The country of origin, you can want to put your country of origin. So now the country where you live, where you currently live today. So the country that you currently live, this is the country that you're going to put in here. Telephone number, if you want to put your telephone number, that's fine. If you don't, it's optional. You don't have to put your telephone number. Your email address, now you're asking you to put your email address here. Now your highest level of education, you want to make sure that you put your highest level of education. Understand that one of the criteria that they actually ask is that you want to make sure you have at least a high school diploma equivalent of the United States, or you may have a work experience that is equivalent to you have at least 2 years work experience that is equivalent to a high school diploma in the United States. So if you do not have a high school diploma and you have not gotten more than 2 years of working experience, it's highly likely that your application will not be selected. If you have more than 2 years of working experience, maybe you are a business owner, you have a business, but you do not have a high school diploma, make sure that you are selecting vocational school or something that qualifies you to apply, because these are the criteria, right? You must have at least a high school diploma, or you have at least 2 years of working experience within the last 5 years. So you are going to select what education status that you qualify for. Marital status. So if you are single, here you're choosing unmarried, right? You choose unmarried. You go on there. If you have children, you choose the number of children, 0, 1, whatever. You add the number of children. Now, for somebody who is not married, for somebody who is married, but you want to apply with your spouse, right? You can choose married. You choose married here. Maybe you are married and your spouse live with you in your home country. Then you're saying that yes, I'm married to my spouse, and my spouse is not a U.S. citizen or a U.S. lawful permanent resident. Now, if you apply that, that's good. Now you put in the number of children that you have. Maybe you have children 1 or 2 or whatever. You put in the number of children. But if you apply as a married person, right, they're going to ask you to put the information of your spouse. So let's go, first of all, let's do the single person who is not married. Single person, not married, no children. And we'll complete the application, click continue. So you click continue, it looks like everything is good, everything works out well. All my information has been put in, my date of birth, my passport information, my photo has been saved, my address has been saved, my telephone number, my email address, my marital status, my educational status has also been saved, my number of children has been saved. The next thing I can do is to click submit, right? So you click the submit button, and once you click the submit button, you can no longer withdraw your application, right? Your application has gone and gone. So because this is only an example, I want to show you what it will be for somebody who is married. So if you are married, all your information on the top is going to be the same. But what you're going to do is, instead of selecting unmarried, you're going to select single. Instead of selecting unmarried, you're going to select married, right? And if your spouse is not a U.S. citizen or a U.S. lawful permanent resident, you're going to select this one. If you have children, maybe you're going to put one child or two children. So if you are married, what you're going to do is you select married. You have married and my spouse is not a U.S. citizen or U.S. lawful permanent resident. If you have children, you put the number of children that you want to put on this application and you click continue. So now the set of data is missing. So let's select which data is missing. Okay, my home country is different from my country of birth. So let me select Cameroon. Boom. My photo has been saved. Okay, my married, yes, children, yes. Okay, let's click continue. So now because I said I am married, now it's going to ask me on part 2. Part 2 means I have to put in the name of my spouse. I have to put my spouse information here. I'm going to put my spouse date of birth, my spouse gender, the city where my spouse was born. We have to know that. The country where your spouse was born, your spouse photo ID. Your spouse must have a photo of the same size and qualities, which means must be a square photo of either 600 by 600 pixels or 1200 by 1200 pixels, 1200 pixels on both sides. Then must be on a white background. If you have children and you want to put the children on this application, you put in your children's name, first and last name, and also the middle name. You put in your children's date of birth, and you put in your children's gender. One thing I want you to note is that your children must be less than 21 years old. If you have children who are older than 21 years old, you are not going to be able to put them in your application, right? So if you see here, if I put in my child was born in 1990 or 1999, right? 1999 person is 22 years old today. So let's say for somebody who was born in 1999, right? Let me just give you this example so you see. And I click continue. Now they're gonna tell me that my application has a problem, which means you must enter a 4-digit data between 2000 and 2021, which means that for the year 2000, if your child was born in the year 2000, your child must be 21 years old by now, 2021. If your child is more than 21 years old, your child will not be eligible to be added to your application. So very, very important. So I'm putting the year 2000 as the year of my child. So once I have that information saved and my child's photo has been saved, my spouse photo has been saved, the next thing I'm going to do is to click continue. Now I'm able to review my application. During this application process, I am reviewing my own personal information. I am the primary applicant. I'm reviewing my passport information, my spouse, my address, and everything. So now I'm reviewing the number of children. 1. Part 2. This is the information about my spouse. All my spouse's information. Now about my child, I'm having my child's information as well. The next thing I can do is to click the submit button. As soon as I click the submit button, I'm ready to go. So one thing I also want to mention, for people who are married, you may apply if your spouse does not have a passport. You can definitely apply and add your spouse to your application, just like I did here. If your spouse has a passport, you can still apply here. You can still apply here on your own and have your spouse also submit an application on his or her own he or she can also submit her or their own application, right? Say for example, you are a woman and you submit your application. Your husband also have a passport. Tell your husband to also go online and submit another application and have you and put you as a wife. Because now when you put your husband as a husband, as you put your spouse as a husband doing your application, it increases your chances, right? If you apply, increase the chances that if you win, of course, you go with your family. If your husband wins, you still go with your family, right? But I think that it's very important that you should know, even for somebody who may be, if you have a boyfriend or something like that. For people I've seen many cases where people are just boyfriends, but they were very excited and they decided to play together. The boyfriend had a passport, and the boyfriend went, applied online, and put that they are married, right? Once you put that they are married and they have the passport, the boyfriend has the passport, but the boyfriend goes online, applies, and wins the lottery. The both of them are eligible to travel. Also, for somebody who maybe your spouse has more education than you, your spouse has a bachelor's degree or a master's degree or has education over high school diploma, and you do not have a high school diploma, you can have your spouse, your boyfriend or your spouse to apply and add you as in the application. You do not have to have that educational qualification because your spouse already have that educational qualification, because he or she is a primary applicant. So their main concern, or the main concern of these people in the immigration service, is that they want to make sure that the primary applicant meets the requirements that they require, meets the eligibility requirements, right, to be able to apply to this process. So I hope that this actually helped you. Make sure that you submit this, you click the submit button, right? Because if you do not click the submit button, guess what? Your application will just stay and keep hanging. So like I said, if you are a couple and you want to apply, make sure that you both have your applications. If you both have your passport, make sure that your couple A will submit the application, couple B will also submit another application, but make sure to have each other on your applications to increase your chances of being selected. So once you've had everybody's photo, your children's photo, which must be able to meet that requirement, click continue, and this is a review page. You can review all the documents here, review all the information that you have inputted. You want to make sure you have all the information, review here as much as possible. But you make sure that if you click the submit button, you are not going to see this page again. You can no longer edit this information once it has been submitted. I am not going to click a submit button into this presentation because I am not eligible to submit this application. And make sure that you keep, so one thing that people always forget to do is that once they click the submit button, they forget to print that record page. Make sure as you click the submit button, there's going to be a page that will come up with a reference number. That page will have your information, will have your name, your reference number, will have your passport information. Make sure you keep that page, because when the lottery results will come out in May of 2022, you have to use that page to check your result. It's very, very important that you use that page to check your results, right? Because if you do not have that page, guess what? All the effort that you have done to submit this application is a waste of your time, because you are not going to see where, you're not going to know if you have been randomly selected or not. They may send you an email, but you have to be able to check that result on your own. So I hope this helps you. This is step-by-step guide helped you to actually be able to submit your application. Like I always advise, make sure to submit your application in this process as early as possible, because it not only increases your chances of getting a visa, but I believe it also increases your chances of being randomly selected. Well, okay guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you for checking out my video, and if you have not yet subscribed, guess what? Click the subscribe button and click the bell to make sure you never miss any of my videos. And don't forget to follow me on social media. Follow my Instagram, Facebook, and my handle is African Brother on Instagram, African Brother on Facebook and African Brother on Twitter. Make sure you follow me on all those platforms and engage with the conversation. If you have any questions, make sure to put in the comments below, and I'm really willing to provide you more updates, answer your questions, and clarify this process for you as much as possible. I can't wait to see you in the next episode. Stay blessed and make sure to click the subscribe button and